I feel like we need some music for this one, Dave, because it's my favorite moment of the episode. It's time for the College Corner.
Play a song.
College Corner.
All right, so I love college football. I love betting college football on this very program, and I love comparing my personal card to the model's personal card, which is exactly what I have done this week yet again. And the first play on the card this week is Ole Miss on the money line against LSU. Now, I'm going to get a little weird here. We said this was a weird moment in the NFL, weird week looking back. It's weird on the internet right now with Ole Miss and LSU because Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin has a daughter who just hard launched a relationship with an LSU linebacker. This is a real story. This is not fake. Now, Lane Kiffin commented and played playfully on social media because somebody screenshotted this post and was just like, wow, might be time to back Ole Miss with some motivation here to get back at the LSU player. And Lane Kiffin said, bet the over. So that's how Ole Miss's head coach is joking about this publicly. That's not reason enough for me to want to side with Ole Miss. Reason enough for me to want to side with Ole Miss is this. They've had a quarterback change that I don't think the market has caught up to yet. Trinidad Chambliss is a dual threat that actually started at a non-Division I school called Ferris State here in the state of Michigan. I've known about him for years because he's just been lighting it up at the non-Division I level. He transferred and got a big payday to go to the SEC and Ole Miss, but he was expected to be the backup quarterback. Injuries to the starter opened the door. He stepped right in and has been sensational. He led Ole Miss in rushing last week, almost 150 rushing yards last week. He can throw the ball through the air. He's a true dynamic dual threat. And I think LSU, Brian Kelly's track record in big games has always been a question for LSU. He's never been at his brightest in the regular season. They survived a big test earlier this year already. Remember that Florida game? DJ Lagway threw 5 interceptions, and it was the one loser on our 4-pick card that week. I feel like maybe this is just a little revenge, but Chambliss has been a lot better under center for Ole Miss than Lagway was at Florida. I think LSU is vulnerable, and the model agrees with me, a 60% probability that Ole Miss comes out as the winner in this game, and it's basically a pick 'em against the spread. Ole Miss is -1.5 right now, so rather than cover 1 point, just in case you get something fluky, I'm all over Ole Miss money line as well. Going into my second game here, I'm going to stay in the SEC, and I have a reputation a little bit as a big game bettor. If it's a game that I'm just going to enjoy watching, I'm certainly looking for a way to bet on it. And that's not always the wisest way to bet. A lot of times the biggest values on the board are some of the games you're least excited to watch. This week, one of the biggest values on the board is a game everyone wants to watch, and it's Georgia-Alabama. Now, Alabama was exposed against Florida State early this season. They've recovered extremely nicely since then. But in their one game against a quality opponent, they looked lifeless. They looked like they had no answers. They have a game manager quarterback type that just wasn't dynamic enough to make plays through the air. And they were making mental mistakes that a Nick Saban team never would. We're into year 2 of the Kalen DeBoer era. And the discipline that we've come to know and love with Alabama has just sort of disappeared. That doesn't happen with Georgia, at least on the field, right? Kirby Smart's teams are as talented as can be, as disciplined as can be, as locked in as can be. It really is a coach that has won a national championship, has gone toe-to-toe with Nick Saban and beaten him, still at the height of his powers. I think the coaching mismatch is the number one thing I'm looking at here for Georgia to potentially beat Alabama. But I also will take Georgia just under center. I think they've got a better quarterback, some better skill position players as well from what we've seen. The eye test has not put Georgia in danger once this season, the way Alabama was against Florida State. So the model agrees. Now we're laying some juice here. -150 is the best odds you can get. Our model's got a 64% probability that Georgia wins this game. That still gives this a 4% edge at -150. I'm going to be adding that as well, possibly looking to maybe juice it up with some parlays here too. I'm a big parlay bettor with college football, and use Georgia money line as sort of the centerpiece of a parlay. Spice it up with a couple huge favorites elsewhere, other plays that the model finds high value, get you to a plus money ticket that only needs maybe 2 or 3 legs max to win. But I think Georgia's a great play this week. And then lastly, I'll give you one more huge game. It's a great college football card if you can't tell. Oregon on the road at Penn State. Now, I think the Ducks have been the best team in the country from pure eye test this season. They've embarrassed some opponents, some 60, 70 point type wins where they're just blitzing teams. The last couple weeks for Oregon have been a little more reined in, but I would argue it's because they've been getting into the conference season and preparing for a game like this. They've taken care of business in road trips and back home in the rivalry game against Oregon State last week. They didn't earn the style points some wanted them to, but Dante Moore's looked incredible under center. Oregon has just a bevy of running backs that they kind of use a committee-based approach, but there's 5 or 6 guys that would start on almost every other team in the country. De'Corian Moore is a name I want people to remember. He's the #1 recruit in the country, the best freshman. He's not Jeremiah Smith good, but remember last year around this point in the season is when Jeremiah Smith went from, oh, he's talented to, oh my gosh, we haven't seen a receiver like him. De'Corian Moore is starting to emerge in that fashion as well. This is going to be a big statement opportunity for him in a whiteout on the road, the toughest environment in the country to play at. But I don't know that Penn State's secondary has an answer for De'Corian Moore. James Franklin, another coach that historically it's been fun to fade in big games. Dan Lanning, you can't say the same for. He's one of the best coaches in the country. I think we're getting a key football number here, +3.5. Our model agrees 56% probability that the Ducks emerge victorious, a 4% edge. I'm locking in all 3 of these as my early college football card. And again, find me 3 better games to watch, let alone bet on this season. And I think you might be lying to me, Dave.
Yeah, wonderful analysis as always, Greg. I think you kind of hit it there too. When you get a good game inherently already to watch, it makes the betting that much better. If you like these games, we've got edges on a couple other markets. Unsurprisingly, we've got the spread for Ole Miss and Georgia, and the money line for Oregon if you like the upset outright. So check the value there on dimers.com. You'll find a little bit more insights from other markets in these games.
Yes, sir. You heard the man.